Century Literacies. What are they? What do they have to do with me and my subject area? Is this another thing that I have to try and fit into my already crazy workload? Lancashire and Snyder state, literacy is not fixed, but is ever evolving. Literacy is always changing. This underpins the core purpose of why I am here today to discuss 21st century literacies and in turn multiliteracies with you. Often the term for literacies are used interchangeably, but it is important to discuss them explicitly. For the purpose of this presentation, I'll be referring to multiliteracies because this approach comes with a multiliteracies pedagogical framework that I'll be drawing on throughout. The New London Group originally coined this concept with the intent on considering and influencing the current literacy pedagogy. The ongoing development from this initial concept has resulted in many advanced theories and concepts, but unfortunately not a lot has changed in practice. The multiliteracies pedagogy began with the dimensions of situated practice, overt instruction, critical framing, and transformed practice, but has since developed into knowledge processes, experiencing, conceptualizing, analyzing, and applying. 21st century literacies and multiliteracies are not about moving into a digital world and leaving traditional literacies in the past. When we consider multiliteracies, it's best to consider it in practice, in the real world. Michelle Anstey and Jeff Ball state, a multiliterate person can interpret, use and produce electronic, live and paper texts that employ linguistic, visual, auditory, gestural and spatial semiotic systems for social, cultural, political and economic purposes in socially and culturally diverse contexts. This then leads to teachers enforcing a multiliteracies pedagogy, a pedagogy that requires students to be problem solvers, flexible, critical analysts, socially aware, and just informed citizens on both a local and global level, and strategic thinkers. As teachers, isn't that exactly what we want for our students? As the New London Group say, isn't ensuring that they are fully able to participate in the unknown future's public, community, and economic life our mission as educators? Okay, great. This sounds like it makes sense so far. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of why multiliteracies are so crucial for the students of today. Consider for a moment the social world of one of your students. Every day, their entire world is consumed by technology. We are never going to win if we demonize the everyday texts that our students are utilizing. We must work to ensure that they are understanding the practices of these texts and how they are engaging with them. This is not to say that we need to incorporate all of the everyday texts that our students use in their home life at school. It's more so our mission to understand the students' unofficial use of technology and allow this to begin our development of literacy curricula. Our world is becoming so much more consumer driven, and so many of the interactive texts that the students of today are engaging with encourages them to be the producers themselves, where they are asked to change the narrative to suit their own specific purpose. This is the new social norm. This is how our students are participating at home, and this is why we need to look towards convergence as a framework. Convergence, simply put, is ensuring students have active roles in engaging in interactive and media texts. It is ensuring their active participation in not only enjoying new media texts, but critiquing them and engaging in their redesign. None of this is to say that schools are not already doing something about this, but we need to take a more active stance in teaching students about the significant role they can play in the redesign of such texts. Now we've spoken about the why of multiliteracies. Let's talk about the how. How can we teach with a multiliteracies pedagogy that will ensure our students' success in an ever-changing world? Now let's just remember, utilising a multiliteracies pedagogy is not about just using technology. It is about engaging students with the necessary skills they need to successfully participate in the social world. In order to give our students this opportunity, we need to immerse them in this culture of participation. One simple way of utilising the multiliteracies pedagogy in your classroom is, instead of having students write and perform a persuasive speech or oral presentation in front of the class, why don't you have them create a podcast? A podcast that will then be shared with the local community or on an online blog to inform them or persuade them of something they need to know about, Hey, it could even be on developing multiliteracies in our curriculums. Creating a podcast not only develops the technology skills of both the teacher and learner, but it stretches the audience from outside the classroom to outside the classroom door. This opening up of the audience forces students to consider the needs and wants of their intended audience and ensure that they design their speech to meet these desires. It bridges the gap between home and school through utilising the social networking site, developing both their home and school literacies. And when this mode was researched, students who undertook the task stated in their interviews with the researchers that their desire to make the speech perfect was heightened, mainly due to the extended audience. Another fantastic strategy that can be utilised across subject areas is that of creating digital videos. In the US, a study on using digital video as a form of assessment was undertaken. The study showed that students were not only able to mix modes to create meaning, but they could develop multiple literacies throughout the process. Students were tasked with creating a video in order to tell a story. They had to show an awareness of their audience and utilise various modes to convey meaning. Students found that they were more engaged in this task and they were authentic storytellers engaging in a multimodal writing process where they had to draft and redraft and consider the elements of design in order to eventually, successfully, share their stories. Neither of the examples above are discarding traditional literacies, as they each follow traditional text type conventions. They simply also further develop 21st century literacies at the same time. Literacy, or literacies, is the all-encompassing term that states one's ability to participate and succeed in the modern world. Literacy in the modern world is so much more than one's ability to read and write. It is one's ability to both make and create meaning from and using multiple and ever-changing modes, whether they are standing alone or multiple.